Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Carry On, brought to you by Nation's Finest, where our mission is to support America's military veterans and their families with a comprehensive approach to housing, health, and employment that helps them to achieve self sufficiency and reach their full potential. If you or a veteran you know needs help, or if you'd like to make a donation, please visit nationsfinest.org or call 833 468 9676. Again, that's nationsfinest.org or 833 468 9676. I'm your host, Mark Miller, Army veteran and Communications Director for Nation's Finest. We're quickly approaching Veteran Owned Small Business Week. Our guest today, Scott Jenson, is not only a veteran small business owner himself, but also serves as the executive director of the National Veteran Small Business Coalition. He is the president of Alpine Global Solutions and has served as the chief operations officer for Team RWB, chief executive officer for Protect Our Defenders, and as the assistant vice president for leadership programs at the American Council on Education. Scott Jenson is a retired Marine Corps colonel and naval aviator. As a helicopter pilot, he served in multiple combat operations in both Iraq and Afghanistan. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics from the United States Naval Academy, a Master of Science from the Marine Corps University, and a Master of Arts in National Security and Strategic Studies from the U.S. Naval War College. Scott Jenson, thank you so much for joining us today on Carry On.
Hey, it's my pleasure. It's great to be here with you all. Thanks for having me on board.
Absolutely. So, we're coming up on National Veteran Small Business Week, and before we jump into direct actionable advice, could you share a little bit about your story with us regarding how you decided to become a small business owner yourself?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's one I think everyone is oftentimes, challenged with. I retired in 2016 from the Marine Corps, and I worked in the nonprofit space and did, some work here and there. And frankly, I was getting advice from a number of friends and colleagues who said that I should start my own consulting company, and really had never thought about it. It was intimidating to me. But I saw, the work I was doing and how I wanted to expand my ability to support more people than what I was able to do just working in one area at a time. And so I bit the bullet, and I'll admit part of the reason was necessity. I was challenged with I was in between jobs at one point, and I really had to decide: is I'm going to bite the bullet and get it going, or go find another full-time job? And I bit the bullet and struggled through and made all those challenges that everybody who starts their own small business goes through.
That it is a scary process, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart, but proud of you that you went through it, and I know a lot of other veterans do too. So our audience heard your intro, and I know many of them are thinking, hey, not every veteran departs the military service with a degree from the U.S. Naval Academy, another one from the U.S. Naval War College. Those are, some pretty intense academic institutions. So what's your advice to veterans about starting a small business, even if they don't hold these high level degrees, but maybe they have a high level of expertise in a certain in-demand field?
Yeah, great question. And I'll tell you, I get really frustrated by that question, to be honest, because even with my degrees or where I came from or my rank or all those things, I hear that all the time. Oh, I don't have an MBA from Harvard, or I didn't go to business school. How can I do this? And I will tell you that it wasn't my degrees that I really felt like helped me get started with my business. And it's what I see day in and day out now as the executive director at NVSBC and the veterans that I interact with. It's what we learn as veterans, what we learned when we wore the uniform, whether that was for one enlistment or whether that was for a 20 or 30-year career. The tenacity, the resiliency, the experience of leadership and management, the planning, all the things that come with learning as a military member, a uniform member, and then carrying that in as a veteran. That's the degree, the school of hard knocks, school colors, black and blue. It's that information and that history that helps a veteran start a business. Degrees, okay, they might help you a little bit here and there, but I think way too many. And I talk to people all the time that can totally relate to this question. I didn't get a degree. I didn't go to college. I served as an enlisted person. So what? You got the experience that you need to start that business, and you have everything behind you to be successful in that. Degrees do not matter in my book.
That's great advice, especially coming from someone who has the School of Hard Knocks and the fancy degrees to say that you value that School of Hard Knocks over the two. I've heard the phrase before, I may not have a PhD, but I've got a DD 214.
That's right. That's right. I tell you, I mean, I love to bring up small business owners who have succeeded and gone through the grind, who may have done 4 years as a Marine grunt, or their time in the Air Force or the Navy or whatever it was, because there are so many successful folks out there that just, they don't have the degree, they don't need the degree, they have gotten the experience that
they've learned what they needed to
Yeah.
learn from tough experience and
Yeah.
high expectations. Of a good friend of mine, former veteran, who started a food truck. He was an Army cook and ran a very successful food truck. So there's business opportunities out there for no matter what your expertise is. I
Yeah.
think that's a great point. So what were some of the challenges? I know you alluded to it earlier, that it's not an easy process.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges you faced when starting a small business, and what challenges do you see other veterans facing, and that maybe you've assisted them in dealing with through the process?
Three things come to mind. One is a personal one, confidence. It's ironic to me, and I shared the same thing, having the confidence that says, I have the wherewithal to do this, to step out and take this risk. Veterans, and the longer we served, I think the harder it is sometimes. Is, we were used to, 3 squares and a cot and something to sleep on and people taking care of us. And we didn't ever have to, ironically, we risked our lives, but we never had to step off on our own and take charge of our own destiny. And having the confidence to know that you can succeed personally is one of the biggest roadblocks that I see. And I'm dumbfounded. Every day I get just about, somebody reaching out to me on LinkedIn saying, hey, I do coaching, and do you need coaching? And I look at their background and I go, they graduated from college a year and a half ago and they're offering me coaching. I sure wish I had that level of confidence when I was that young. And it's ironic to me that our veterans don't share that, have this massive confidence in what they've experienced and the kind of background that they have. So confidence is one of the things. The other thing is knowing how to do it. Starting your own business, particularly where I work in federal contracting and federal procurement, it's a challenging area to work in. So of course there you go, I don't even know where to start, how to start this. So having a good network, or figuring out the touch points of who to reach out to, and knowing who the resources are to help you get your business started, help you get that transition, and then help you find that first dollar on some kind of a contract. That's a big challenge. And there are resources out there, everything from associations like the National Veteran Small Business Coalition that I lead as an executive director, that works with folks in the federal procurement space, federal contractors. But there are tons and tons of other organizations. The Small Business Administration has resources in the veteran business outreach centers. There's procurement technical assistance centers. There are just dozens of locations. It's knowing how to plug into those and who to reach out to say, hey, help me get connected. And then the third area that's a challenge is, how do I fund it? How do I pay for the startup of this thing? And veterans, more times than not, think that they have to self-fund it. I have to pay for it out of my bank account, or be able to somehow afford to do this while I get something off the ground. It's challenging to get the resources, but there are resources out there to help you get access to funds that you don't have to necessarily self-fund it. But it's again, getting with the SBA and other funding resources to figure out, how do I pay for this? It was an epiphany for a veteran that I'm around, when he heard the suggestion that there are organizations out there that will pay funding and expect that part of that funding will be your first year of salary, even though you're not making any money with your business. There's expectations like that, but veterans don't think like that. And so it's finding those opportunities, having the confidence, having the network, and then finding the good resources for funding to be able to sustain the first, year or two of this kickoff.
Confidence, information and resources, and funding. Great shot on the three of those there, sir. And I would say, on the information and resources, maybe the confidence piece too. It is hard the longer you've been in the military. Things are just a certain way, and there's a playbook. So no matter where you land, it's, well, this is how folks
That's
expect
exactly
things
right.
to be done. Not so many guardrails in the business world.
Yeah.
So that does make it tougher for veterans, but not unattainable for the reasons you just talked about, that the resources are there, the funding is there, just takes a little bit of research, a little bit of hard work.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people who want to help veterans do this. The Institute for Veteran and Military Families up at Syracuse University is, one that really comes to mind. They're partners of ours. We work really close with them, getting into some kind of a boots to business program through the SBA. There's a lot of different opportunities if someone's looking to get started. And then they can graduate to organizations like mine, NVSBC, if they're looking to move into federal space and figure out how to do federal contracting. Talk about a black hole of information and a challenge, but there's an organization out there for everyone.
Absolutely. And just to clarify on your organization, since our audience hasn't heard it since the intro, NVSB is National Veterans Small Business Coalition.
Yes.
And you can find them online. They can probably find their way to you pretty easily, right, Scott?
Yep. Just know that acronym, www.nvsbc.org. And you can reach me at scott.jensen@nvsbc.org as well. So
very open, very transparent. Look at that, putting his email address out there.
Yeah,
for everyone.
How about that? I challenge you. I talk to veterans all the time about this stuff, and I can't always answer their questions, but I can help a lot of times connect them to somebody who can answer the question as well.
And we take the same attitude at Nation's Finest. We might not be able to always get you there, but we can at least get you to the right place.
Yeah, we really, that's what it's key about these veteran resources is providing warm handoffs. So you're not sitting behind a computer Googling going, oh my gosh, there's 20 different resources here. Which one do I need and which one can I trust? And that's what we want to do at NVSBC, is be a trusted resource and help you connect to trusted resources.
So it sounds like your advice is, step one, get a real human being on the line to get some guidance, and not let Google guide everything.
That's right. No matter where you go, and even with the federal government, there are human beings that want to help you and talk with you and spend time with you. Yes, absolutely.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. So we've talked about kind of a little bit what it takes to start a small business, overcoming and mitigating some of the challenges. All that being said, what advice would you like to leave our veteran audience with today, sir?
I go back to the confidence thing, and maybe it's just me because that's where I was, but if you're in the mind to get going and get started on something, have the confidence to go out and get it done, and ask for help. And that's really my biggest focus. Now, if you're already established, go find the organizations that will help you network and collaborate together. And that's really the start of that, because everything else flows from there, whether it's being introduced to opportunity, whether it's finding the funding you need, whether it's growing to the next level with your company. It's making those types of connections. But if we're talking about the young veteran who's looking to start their business, have the confidence, start asking some questions, do your research, and then jump in with both feet and have fun doing it. And again, they've been there. They've taken the body blows. You're going to take some body blows, and you'll get through that. Lean into it, and you'll get to the other side.
I agree with that. That's great advice. It sounds like you're kind of encouraging a balance between be confident, know that you can do this, but at the same time, have the humility to reach out for help. It sounds like There's that happy medium in there.
Absolutely.
It's that balance we all need to find, and many of us are still searching for. Scott Jensen, thank you so much for all your advice and insights today. Really appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
Oh, it's really my pleasure. I appreciate what you all do at Nation's Finest, and like I said, if I can ever be of assistance to you, to your team, or anyone out there, give us a shout out. Like I said, we're easy to find. NVSBC.org, Scott.Jensen@NVSBC.org. More than happy to take your questions. And if you're in the Florida area, November 2nd through the 5th during Veteran Small Business Week, go to our website. We'd love to have you come down to our Vets 21 conference. It's just in a couple weeks. The hotel block closes at the end of this week. We'd love to have everybody come down and spend some time with us.
So if you're in Florida, Southern Georgia, Alabama, looks like you might be close enough to get to an in-person event.
Yeah.
If not, Scott's been generous enough to share his contact information right here. You can reach him from anywhere in the country.
There you go.
Scott, thank you again so much. And likewise, Nation's Finest is here for those veterans who maybe aren't in a position to start a business but are struggling with housing or healthcare. We're here for that as well. So we're all part of the team together. Let's all take care of our fellow veterans together.
Hoorah! Semper Fi.
Have a great day, Scott. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And once again, thank you to all of you who joined us today. We'll be back next week discussing issues relevant to veterans and those who care about them. Again, if you or a veteran you know needs help, or if you'd like to make a donation, visit nationsfinest.org or call 833-468-9676. Thank you again for joining us, and as always, carry on.